I got what the hell I'm drinking. Isn't that horrible? I'm having a moment.
There we go. Off to a great start.
Yeah.
Come out of the gate slow.
What is that like that? Oh, Christ. I'll think. Oh, Bailey's. It's Bailey's.
Oh, Bailey's.
Yeah, it's Bailey's on ice. Yeah.
All right.
Sorry.
Well, you know, we're going Irish.
Yeah.
What you got there, B? What you having?
Agua. Agua, water.
That's all you're having?
Yeah.
What's in that big
Water.
Oh, it looked dark to me. Oh, wow, okay.
Oh, Crystal Light. Sorry, you're right. You caught me. Crystal
Cheers.
Light.
Cheers to your Crystal
All right,
Light.
cheers. Here we
There
go.
you
We're going in. All right.
I'll watch the girl's figure.
Oh, speaking of girlish figures, man. I've been on I'm not going to promote this shit, but I don't know what the fuck this shit is. It's some sort of fat burning thing. And holy shit, man. It's like fucking meth. I've been like running on like full throttle for the past 3 days on that stuff. I don't know. I don't even know why it's over the counter, to be honest with you.
They usually aren't for
Golo or something. Is it that Golo stuff?
I don't know what it is, man. It's like it's a fat burn cleanse or something like that. Because I got a show coming up in May, and I gotta like, because of the aesthetic of the show, I have to drop all this fucking weight, which I'm not happy about. It's fucked up, man.
Oh, I say it every single show. It never happened.
But so I just started to. Well, actually, the other reason I started doing it was because, man, Greg, maybe we talked about this before, but over the and Brendan, we talked about this on the phone. Like I had lost all that.
Just so you know, me and Chris one day were on the phone for not goddamn nearly 5 hours or whatever the hell it was.
Yeah.
Talking nonsense. And I was like, and I went to Gina after my fiance, and I was like, man, this guy's fucking awesome. We just talked about everything. She's like, what are you talking about? I go, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell we talked about.
Yeah.
I never remember my phone conversation. You know.
He's a good conversationalist. Yeah.
So
I think you should be a game show host.
Actually, you know, I should have gotten into the spy business. I should have gotten into the spy business because of all the different looks I had to do over the years. Yeah, like I should have gotten into that.
An international man, if you will.
Yeah.
There you go.
I should have done that.
Make sure you play that when you're sneaking in somewhere.
I would have made a lot more money than being a musician. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucked up. Yeah. So
if you were a trash man, you'd make more money than being a musician.
That's true. Depending on where you're a trash man. Like, I mean, some of these trash guys. You know, now we're gonna get into the mob thing, which, you know, I'm from Philly. I'm too aware.
Oh yeah, I'm out of this. I don't know nothing about that.
Yeah.
I know nothing. I told you, I don't know if I told you that story. It's a great story. I was playing a jazz club in Philly back in the 90s that was running bets before it was legal here. I get done my set and I go in to get paid at the end of the night. And I walked in at the wrong time. There were like 5 briefcases. Like these dudes were big. And the briefcase cases were open. It's all cash. I walk in and I immediately about face, and the owner goes, "Hey, Chris, come over here."
Oh, great.
And he grabs some cash from the suitcase and he hands it to me. He's like, "Good show tonight, man." "Oh, what did you see?" I said, "I didn't see anything." He goes, "Good answer. I'll see you next week."
Man.
Like, fuck.
Let me ask you a question. Did you have somebody else start your car?
that was the 90s, man. That was different.
Yeah.
It's not there anymore. Like in Philly, it's, you know, I mean, I'm not going to make any conjecture, and I'll edit this out, but I'm pretty sure it's Russian mob now down here. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, those are tough people, man. That's a rough crowd for sure.
But when the Italian mob was running it, man, South Philly was a really fun and safe neighborhood to be in because no one fucked with you. Like,
No.
So anyway, I know we're talking about mob stories and shit like that. So anyway, Brendan, glad to have you on. Glad that you're doing a hang.
Yeah,
I'm gonna throw back a few cocktails and talk music, man. So one of the things that I really dug was what I'm interested in right off the bat is, and I'm going to jump all around here, but how did the Alice Loves Alien thing happen? Like, was that something you always had in mind?
No.
Or no?
I don't know what you mean by that. Like, when did we start that project?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like, how did that come about?
All right. So there was a singer up here named Gina, and she had a band, and she was kind of disillusioned and bored with the band, so she started a new project called Crazy Alice's Traveling Show, and then she saw some videos of me. This is a long time ago. This is 10-something years ago. And she saw some videos of me and asked me to audition. I auditioned, and we started working together. And before you know it, kind of developed into a life of its own. And then we started dating and got involved with each other. And then I was kind of bored by that. I was like, well, what if we kind of do something what I had in mind, which is kind of more original based, kind of, and being the fucking, control freak, I guess you could say that I am. I knew how it would work, and I knew how it wouldn't work. I'm not for everybody, but just if I'm, me being the lead, usually, me taking the vision, kind of, everybody can have their say, but me having the vision of the project is the only way it kind of happens, because everybody else is like, oh yeah, we'll get to it, we'll figure it out. Like, no, we won't. We either do or we don't. Right. And so then the way I wanted it to be was, I always told Gina, I was like, if we're going up that mountain, we can't be carrying people with us, man. You know what I mean? Greg knows. Greg has originals. He has original projects. Some people can't do this. They can't do that. They don't want to do this show. They don't want to do that song. You're like, God damn, dude. It's all compromise. So I was like, what if we just cut the compromise?
That's what you do. You're like, nice knowing you.
Adios.
Bye.
Yeah. What if we just cut the compromises down? And if it's just me and Gina? Because I was crazy enough to say I always wanted to be a solo artist anyway. You know what I mean? For whatever reason, I always knew that I just wanted to do my own thing and write my own songs. And so then Gina, she's an outstanding vocalist, and the fact that I love her and she loves me, I go, hey, I'll carry you along. You know what I mean? So instead of calling it the Brendan Clark Show, I was like, well, what if we do something new and something old? We'll carry that Crazy Alice's Traveling Show with us, and we'll just call it Alice. And then we were kind of just brainstorming. And then for some reason, there was a stupid nickname that I was called an alien at some point. And I was like, well, that's hokey enough. And you love me. So it's Alice Loves Alien.
I've been called way worse. So embrace that.
I've been called much worse not too long ago. And I'm sure the names are about to be on the way very shortly.
Embrace it, Brendan. Just say thank you. May I please have another?
Let's go. Sure. Yeah. Alien. I don't know what they mean by that. I'll take it as a compliment, and I'll take it as a compliment and play none the wiser. How about that?
Smart.
And so then I don't want to take too long here, but I'll just kind of give you a brief overview. So I started getting involved with I wrote all these songs and knew I wanted to play all the instruments, all the keyboards, bass, drums, everything. And I knew that me and Gina were just going to layer all the vocals with me and her singing. And of course, it's like Beach Boys and Beatles type vocals where there's 16 parts. It's not 2-3-part harmonies. You know what I mean? It has to go all King's X because I'm a maniac. And I found a friend that would record us for cheap and busted my ass. And then we put out the album, and then the end of the world happened.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, right. And that, yeah. Oh man. Yeah. Well, but you guys got some shows in, right?
Oh yeah, many shows. Yeah. But I'm just saying we had to take that year off right when the album was released.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. When was that video shot? Was that during COVID?
No, that was before.
That was before.
That was before. That was December 12th of 2019.
Oh, okay. All right.
That was actually at our album release show, and Jimmy Bell's in that video in the front row class.
Yeah.
That's when things were starting to get really ugly too.
Yeah, that's when the stuff was happening, and then everything just shut down. You had to reschedule our gigs, but we played some nice, decent sized gigs, and we're playing at the Whiskey A Go Go in a couple months.
Oh,
That's awesome.
Yep.
So okay, so you two are the writers, arrangers. How do you get the cats to play behind you?
I just hire them.
Yeah. Okay. So they're on the clock, right? They're like, here's the parts,
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
I a lot of people that we've had, and we've had a bunch of different people, and they're all pro and they're all good. A lot of them get very nervous and neurotic about wanting to make sure that I played it the way you played bass. But no, just play the song and add your flavor. It's live. You know what I mean? I'm just going to be doing whatever I want. So, I mean, just play the song and we'll be fine. We're not recreating the CD. They can go listen to the CD or stream it or whatever. We're playing live. So what do you think? You're a musician. Put yourself into it.
Right. Oh, that's cool. So are these cats going out with you to LA?
Yeah, a couple of them are, yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes if we would do a show like that, we would just kind of find some local people that are already out there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But for this, they were willing to do it, so why not? Yeah.
Pretty cool. That's awesome.
How many nights are you playing there?
Just one.
Oh, just one?
Yeah, we're just playing there one. It's the night before NAMM.
Oh, okay. Are you going to NAMM?
No.
Oh, okay.
The bass player that's playing with us is, but
yeah,
I have no interest in going to NAMM. I said I'm not going to NAMM until I'm invited and getting paid. I have no interest in walking around.
There you go. You hear that?
Yeah. I've only been to the. You like what?
I was gonna say I enjoy eating pizza and watching TV. I'm not really gonna go walk around and see things. You know what I mean? I work for a living.
I've only been to one Anaheim NAMM show, and that was in, my God, 91. And I was there with Varney and Richie Kotzen. And
in 91, I was 3.
You were what?
I was 3 years old.
3 years.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. Yeah. Well, we were both having toiletry issues.
I still do.
For different reasons.
I still do.
But the only 2 NAMM shows I've done hence is Nashville NAMMs, which are like not very fun. I mean, I'm in Nashville once a year anyway, but I mean, I was just like, it's really not fun. I mean, like there's like Volume Police. I was demoing for the Chasing Vintage company that I'm with, and Rocket Pedals, who I was originally with. That's where I met Johnny Highland, the show I just got done doing. And I kept getting yelled at. I mean, they look like ushers from a theater, and they're all like 72 years old. Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir. That is 5 dB too loud.
Oh,
Please
boy.
bring that down.
Well, they're giving you the technical, huh? 5
dB. Oh, yeah. No, they had the meter. They're walking around with a meter.
Meters?
Yep.
Oh, my God, man.
It's not fun. It's not fun. That's why I ended up like leaving and going down to, lower Broadway most of the time. Much more fun. So what's one of the agenda for so what's your rehearsal schedule like? Do you guys bring these guys in to rehearse, or do you not?
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you just wing it?
It's just like well, right now I have some people that are kind of it's not so live without a net right now, like these are people that are kind of regulars, I should say. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They're not band members, they're regulars. Because it's really just a duo. It's just me and Gina. But it's the same thing. Like I don't know. It's just, you know, if Greg, just for example, or you, like if you were doing so like you know how there was that Guitar Summit thing. Just you know, you hire a couple people behind you and you do your thing.
Right.
You don't bring your band. You just hire some people to back you up. Same thing.
Band.
Yeah, I saw some people bringing their band, and I go
I seen it.
suckers.
Yeah.
I told Todd to give me a band. I was like, I'm not even bringing anybody.
Well, BJ probably would have stepped in and played with you. You know what I mean? He plays with everybody, so he's like a house drummer at that thing. But,
yeah, they had a house band that I played with. They were good. They were real good.
Yeah.
But I was not hiring anybody for that.
Yeah. That's hard though when you have to, you know, to try and get consistency on getting people that know your material. Every time you bring somebody new in, there's that learning curve.
Yeah, you don't want to have like 50 different people. You want to have a different small rotation of depending.
Do you have your favorites? Do you have the cast that you're like, man, I'd love to have that motherfucker on this gig?
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I have a rotation of musicians, but there are certain gigs that I get a call for, and I'm going into my bank account to cover that fucking guy because I'm like, that guy's got to be on that date.
Oh, most definitely. Yes.
You know, he's going to kill it. You know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's definitely people where you go, if I had the money, I would just hire them for everything.
You know, it's funny, like back. Yeah, I mean, at one point, I you know, it's kind of fucked up how it happened over the years. It's like back in the 90s when I was out of Nashville touring and I was home up here in the Northeast, I would snail mail before email. I would snail mail charts to these guys in Philly, like these jazz guys. And I wasn't playing jazz. I was playing the rock stuff. And I would just email them the chart. I'm not emailing. Fuck it. I would mail them the charts. And then we'd get together, one quick rehearsal, go out and just annihilate.
Yeah.
And then it was like, and I mean, these guys didn't, you know, they were like, hey, I'm here to get paid, but they played their asses off. And then as the years went by, it was much more difficult to find guys that could do that. Like that you could say, okay, you know, that they come in, they just kill it. You know, they were just always on. But I mean, like they'd show up and look like they just got done like delivering mail, you know, I'm here, you know, and you're like, man, you play great, but could you put on some pants? Could you put on a fucking pair of pants for the gig?
I'm here to jam. Don't mind these Bermuda shorts that I have on.
That happened. And I'm like, are you kidding me with the fucking shorts, dude?
Yeah.
So have either of you ever, I always wanted to ask this, have you ever done the laptop backing tracking gig, the Guitarioke gig? Have either of you ever been in that position?
No.
Thank God, no, not yet.
All right.
I've seen it done. I would. Oh, actually, you know what? I'm gonna have to take that back. I did it once. I did it once, and I'll tell you when I did it. When I was taking lessons way back in 1986, 87, 88, whatever, with my teacher. He used to do a guitar.
Brandon wasn't even a sperm count then.
No. I was a young buck at that point, but I started taking lessons from this guy in 85, and he was really the only guy around that was teaching alternate picking, arpeggios, all that stuff. Nobody, because half the teachers didn't even know how to play it, but this guy was an exception. So every year he would do a guitar recital. So the first year he did it, he rented out a theater. And I went into the studio, and I had the guy that did the Madonna record, the Like a Virgin record. His name was Bobby Sabina. He was the keyboard player, and I paid him to come into a studio in North Lake Sound in White Plains, New York. It was in a house, beautiful studio, and he came in, had a drummer play the drum track, and he did the keyboards, and I made a cassette of that. I'm really dating myself, but it was a cassette. And then I brought the cassette. It was mixed down, brought it to the show, and they played it over the PA as I played along with it.
Okay.
And that's what I did. Yeah. So, but it was only one song. It wasn't like a whole repertoire of stuff.
But it was also a recital, right? So
It was a
it's kind of
recital.
like,
Yeah. Yeah. It was
okay.
young, but that's the only time I did that. But I've seen a lot of guys do it. Nick Johnson's done it, and the guys at NAMM do it basically.
Yeah.
Right? They get up with a laptop and they just fire away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've seen. I've owned to a small guitar clinic many years ago with Tosin Abasi from Alice Loves Aliens, and he played just over. He didn't even have backing tracks. He just played his album, and he played over it. It was amazing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's great.
I saw him.
I mean, I completely get it on a clinical. Like if you're doing a clinic, I get it. But I went out and did some.
That I saw him.
I did some dates where I had to do that, and I was in. Actually, I was in. I think it was in West Virginia, and I had my laptop, my old laptop, and it was the neoclassical shit, like the Abigail's Crossing shit, Temple of Solomon, really heavy stuff. So I have to do this set, and I'm between these other two shredders. If Joe Stump was supposed to be on that gig, but he couldn't make that one. But I'm between these other two shredders, great players, and they're so that was their life. Their life was this, what I call guitarioke, which of course offended them, and I didn't mean it to be that way. So anyway, I'm up there and I'm playing, and there's a keyboard solo that had been recorded. So I go up to the microphone and I introduce the keyboard player. And the crowd just loses their shit. They're laughing. And I kind of made it kind of half comedy, half, plus I was half in the bag. And I'm like, I really want to thank my keyboard player. It was, my wife remembers what I called him, but the play starts, So Brendan, what's the deal, man? Like, are you, do you still do the solo thing? You still going out and do I've seen videos of you going out and doing like cover tunes and stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, sometimes they're not really cover tunes. Let's be honest. I don't know.
Well, no, I get you. I got you.
Yeah, I'm mixing my solo album right now. It's called Alien I Am. Brendan Clark, Alien I Am. I mean, but Alice Loves Alien basically is a solo album.
Oh, that's just you. No vocals or anything. It's all instrumental.
Well, on Alice Loves Alien, I sang half the songs, Greg.
I watched your show. I watched your show. It was a live show from, I think you guys were playing Massachusetts, and I did see you sing a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm singing on my album. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, so it's not an instrumental album. Okay.
There are a couple instrumental tracks. But yeah, I'm still doing that. Like I have a solo show next month. Like I'll be doing bigger solo. I say solo shows, but I'll bring the same kind of people. I'll have Gina singing with me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like even when I do that stuff, it's the same cast of characters.
Okay.
It's just trying to push my name a little bit more out there when I do those shows. That's all.
Right. Got you. So how did the whiskey come about?
The person that's playing bass with us had a friend that reached out, and we said, sure, what the hell?
You're gonna fly, you're gonna drive it.
We're flying in. We're flying in, we're staying for the day, and then we're gonna take off in the next morning.
Oh wow, okay.
Wow.
I know you mentioned that flying is not your favorite thing.
Oh, I've driven to LA and back many times.
Yeah. Will that take you about a week and a half?
No, I made it. I made it from, well, it wasn't LA. I was in San Francisco. I left San Francisco and I was back on the Jersey Shore because I lived in Jersey. 2 days. Took me 2 days by myself. Wow. Yeah. I didn't fuck around. Straight through.
That's a beast.
177 miles an hour.
Yeah, I actually only pulled over to sleep once, besides fueling, obviously. But I remember I woke up one morning and there was a fucking buffalo next to my car. It was fucked up. I wake up and there was like, fucking buffalo. It's like right there. And it's like staring at the fucking driver's side window. I'm like, how fucked up is this?
Did it say, aren't you Chris Gordon?
Yeah, he was probably my only fan.
Mr. Gordon.
Hey, hey, Mr. Gordon, could you play me a tune?
Could you sign my hoof?
Sign my hoof. I like that.
I didn't know you didn't like flying.
I hate flying like a motherfucker. That's why I do drugs. So, yeah, no, I'm a horrible flyer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and in 2022, I did a lot of flying. I was flying, I had to do the Texas thing. And you know what actually really the final nail in the coffin was I left, where the fuck was I? No, I forget where the fuck I was, but it was like Midwest, and I had to fly to Chicago. It's Kansas City to Chicago. I don't know what the fuck the pilot was thinking. So we get on the plane, and I knew there was a storm coming in. It had been on the weather. And we get on the plane, and I hear the pilot. Ladies and gentlemen, sit down right now. We are leaving. That's all he says. He takes off, and it was funny story. I'm sitting next to this couple, and they were old, like in their 70s. And they were like farmers, like salt of the earth motherfuckers, like, and we get to this altitude and we are getting thrown, like, we're talking about 50 to 100-foot drops at a time.
Yeah.
You can hear it hitting the cabin, the bangs on the cabin. Everyone on the plane was not comfortable. And my entire body tenses up because I'm sober. And it's not good. And the gentleman sitting next to me starts saying the Lord's Prayer. Jesus. And he grabs my arm, and here I've got the King Diamond House of God tattoo, the cover. He grabs the arm, and he starts saying, though I walk through the Lord's Prayer, whatever that prayer is. And I'm like, we're done. And his wife, who's on the other side of him, her hands are in the air. I shit you not, guys. And she's singing.
Oh my God.
Hallelujah, we're coming home. I'm like, fuck. And you know what hit me? You know what fucking hit me? So after that, so they had to get above this storm. They had to get above it. And eventually they break through, and it was not pretty, dude. This was 15 minutes of a shit show. It's a long time for a shit show. So finally they break through, and all of a sudden we level out. You can see the sun. And I look over at him, and he goes, "You feeling all right, son?" And I said, "I'm feeling like a pile of rat shit, to be honest with you." And they start talking to me, and I said to them, I said, "You know what? I don't think I'm right with the Lord, man. You guys were completely prepared. You guys were like, take me now, Jesus. Let's do this thing." And I'm like, no, I ain't ready to go. So I'm like, I don't think I'm ready. I don't think I'm right with the Lord. And I wasn't being facetious or any kind of weird thing. And they were great. He was so great to me. And he was like, it's all right, son. It's okay. And I'm like, but I'll tell you, man, at that point, I got home and I said to my wife, I said, we got to find drugs, because I had to fly out the next week. I said, we got to find some sort of fucking.
We got to find God.
Yeah.
We got to find our religion, but
whatever gets me there,
Yeah.
So I started trying gummies. I tried everything. I was like, what do you got? It's legal. So I was like, let me try this. So I started trying some gummies, and like that didn't work. I'm like, this is worse. Like, I'm all fucked up now. Like, now I'm high and not having a good time. So I was like, I just had to double down on the whiskey. Like, so I would get to the airport at like 6 a.m, and I would just start drinking. And then I would just saunter onto the plane and go, fucked up, man. I hate flying.
That's what I do. I'll go to the bar at an airport at like 8 o'clock and have a drink before I get on the plane. Then I'll have one on the plane, but I'm not. I had one really bad flight flying out to Colorado, and it was we left Kennedy. Jimmy Bell was on the plane with me. It was me, Jimmy, BJ. We were all flying out to Colorado to play, and 15 minutes out of the airport, man, we were rocking and rolling and dropping. They suspended drink service after row 14. The pilot came on and told the crew, suspend drink service and take your seats. And when they do that, that means
yeah, when they
bad.
yeah.
So this guy was going all the way up to Canada trying to get out of this weather, and he just couldn't do it. But at least he was talking to us the whole time. He said, all right, in about a minute, we're going to get hit with another round. But I mean, we were dropping and going sideways, and I was like, I'm going to die. And I had some chick next to me with this stupid thing around her neck. It looked like, you ever seen one of those round Italian loaves of bread? It was and her head was stuffed in it like 3/4 of the way. And she was like this, and she was unconscious the whole time. And I was losing. I'm like, how in the hell can this lady be totally out with this? You know, so I'm just figuring maybe she took something, you know. But I just kept seeing this little neck thing going back and forth. I wanted to reach over and I just wanted to give her a light smack across the back of the head. You know,
If I'm suffering, you're suffering too.
Will you
bitch.
wake up
What
and
the
panic
fuck?
with me, please? You know, my old dentist was terrified to fly, and he prescribed himself a Xanax. Is that what it is? And he had one. So he goes into the men's room, and he's at the urinal, and he's fumbling around with it, and he drops it right into the urinal.
And it was the only one he had?
Yeah, it was the only one he had. So he had to get on the plane stone straight. Yeah, the whole time he was flying down to like the Eastern Caribbean.
Well, when I left Vegas, I remember leaving Vegas, and my keyboard player gave me something. I don't know what the fuck it was, but it was like, he goes, oh, take these. And he gave me like 3 of them. And I popped all 3 of them at once and chased it with a whiskey. And he's like, are you? And so I go to the airport, and in Vegas, you can smoke in the bars at the airport bars in Vegas. So I'm sitting next to this dude, this giant guy who's about to go up to Canada to do some sort of oil drilling. I don't know. So he starts buying me whiskey. Pills haven't hit me yet. So I start throwing back 5 whiskeys, and then I'm smoking a cigarette, and then it hits me. And then I hear my flight called, which is right across from where the bar is. And I put my guitar on my back, and I go, I'm really fucked up. They're not going to let me on the plane. I got to walk straight. So I'm like being an actor. I am completely in control. Hello, ma'am. I'm in control. I'm in good shape. How are you? Nice to see you.
I'm your guy.
I got in my seat, and I don't remember anything until I heard, welcome to Philadelphia.
Those are the best flights.
They're the only way to go, man.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask both of you this question, because it's been kind of like in my head for a while. Is there something about your area, that area, when I say that area, I'm talking about the upper Northeast, that's more conducive to the music that you play? Like, I mean, you guys seem to be getting, you guys are doing dates locally, playing out. There seems to be some sort of ability to keep that engine going. And I wanted to ask you guys about that. Or do you just impose your will and go, fuck you,
yeah, you just annoy everybody until, well, what I actually do now is I just rent out rooms and just do the whole show myself. And sell my own tickets and pay my own sound guys. Yeah. I hate playing the bars. I hate that shit. I mean, you got to do what you got to do, but I mean, I'd rather just, if I'm going to do all the work, I'll just do all the work. Because what's more important to me is, instead of getting a few bucks, is playing the music for the people that are interested in hearing it or want to hear it. And that's more important to me.
So how often do you book? Like, how often are you playing?
Right now, probably once a month. I could play every week, but as we know, especially these days, the more often you play, the smaller the crowds get.
Do you? That's like oversaturation, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's important. Greg, what about you? Like, I mean, that's a cool business model. I mean, you do it yourself,
Yeah.
or is Live Say getting like club dates without?
I mean, I see. The thing is, my band's been around a long time. We have been around since '91. Okay, and I have.
Brendan was
I
3.
had a couple of deals. I had 7 records. I had distribution deals. I had independent labels. So I've kind of established the name. I'm just saying, it's nothing to do with being special or anything. It's just like the longer you stick around, the more people hear your name, so I managed to build a reputation with a lot of the major promoters, like in the tri-state area between New Jersey and, people in New York City and, surrounding areas. And we did a lot of those areas since the band's inception, and we're able to get just a lot of big shows with a lot of nationals. And when you do
Okay.
nationals, you're playing in front of big crowds. They see you, they hear about you, you're selling your albums, and that's how you build your momentum. You got to be willing to get out there. And Brendan knows, when you're doing your own material, see, this area, and this is no offense to anybody, but this area is absolutely saturated with cover bands. I mean, tribute bands, cover bands. That's all you see around here. Trying to be an original band is very difficult, because the clubs, what they deem a rock club these days, it's like any bar that has a band is considered a rock club now. And I feel bad for guys like Brendan, because he missed the '80s when rock clubs were like 3,000-4,000 people. Every club was gigantic, and there was multitudes of them, where now it's so limited, and you get a lot of bands in one area, and they're all fighting for the same, 6 or 7 places to play. And it's tough. And some of them are playing overlapping music. I see a lot of Ozzy tributes. I see a lot of Van Halen tributes,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
like and people, how many times can you expect the same people to come out and hear the same songs? I was never about covers, and I applaud Brendan for being that way, that he's his own man. He knows what he wants to do. He's playing his own stuff. Because let me tell you, that is very, very difficult to do these days. Extremely difficult.
Yeah.
There's very little. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like Chris mentioned earlier, because I saw you have a couple covers up there. I was like, they're not really covers, but even when we do shows like this, the bar owners will be like, "Hey, can you throw us a bone and start doing some songs that people recognize?" I go, "I'll pretend to do them, but no one's gonna recognize anything that we're doing."
Yeah,
I'll throw you a bone, but it won't be a bone.
Yeah, I'll start off LaGrange, and I can't promise where we're gonna go though.
No, but I love that, and that was one of the things that I found very exciting when I watched those videos, because we were talking about this last night. What was that?
I said, I'm sorry you had to sit through those.
No,
they're fantastic.
they were
And
great.
but what was also great about it was it was validating, because that's what the Mad Trio did. Like, we started out as that band that was like, yeah, we're doing Boston, but it's our version of Boston, And I told this story before, and we were doing that crazy night we were doing. Actually, there's video of some of it. We were doing 2 Rolling Stones.
Great song.
Yeah,
Love that album.
That outro, that kind of 12/8. So I'm in the having some fun that night, and we were just stretching it out because it was close to the end of the set. So I look over at Ronnie, the bass player, and he's like, "Let's ride this out, and we'll close the set with it instead of starting another song." So I went into Holsworth mode, and the drummer's kicking in on it. He's we're just going out. All of a sudden, I'm on stage. Like, what the fuck? I look around. There's this dude. Got up from the bar, got up onto the bandstand, and was like, "Excuse me, sir. When are you going to bring this in? I'm on a date, and I'd like to dance with my girl."
Unreal.
dude.
Unreal.
Like it was like cognitive dissonance, and I'm like, I came out of this zone in a mood, and I've got like 3 whiskeys and 2 Guinnesses in me. I put my fist up and I pull the band to a stop, and on the microphone I eviscerate this guy, and I felt kind of bad about it because like he was humiliated. He walks off, so we actually just kind of end it, and I walk off and I said, dude, if you have a grievance, I will respect that, but could you wait until we're done? And we can step outside. You can tell me, like, hey, look, I'm really not into whole tone scales over a fucking Robin Trower tune. I was like, dude, I'd agree with you, but don't ever come into my space when I'm there, And it was.
I was going to ask you what hospital he ended up in.
No, I wouldn't have gone there. But what's funny though? He came up and he bought me a shot. And I'm like, dude, I ain't drinking that. I'd probably fucking spit in it, But my point being is that like it's great that you like this is my mantra. I've lived by this mantra, and I'm not saying I'm right, but I've always believed, even in a cover, like when you have like Brendan, when you have to do these cover things, like you're right. You throw them a bone. I've always believed that you take the music beyond where you found it. Why would I want to be a jukebox? Like But you see here in our area. Now I'm getting that impression from both of you that it's the same way up there. It's like, there are, I think cover bands are almost done. It's like all tribute bands, right? I mean, that's really
cyclical. It's going to burn itself out. And I hate to say this, but I've been around long enough to see this before. If something gets hot for a few years and then it gradually dies out and people are tired of it. They're like, you know what? I just don't feel like hearing Paranoid again. I've heard it, because that's what's out. It's always the, you're not seeing any Symphony X tribute bands out there. Okay. You're seeing Priest, Ozzy, give me some others. I said some of my old band members, they had a Tesla tribute band, which actually did very well. Yeah,
really?
They did it, and they were doing great. The band was called Signs, and they were really good. Had my ex-singer, my old bass player, and a few other guys that I knew from the area, and they were doing really well for a while. Then COVID hit, and what have you. But there was also another band out with this terrific singer, Bronco. It was called Operation Mindcrime, and they were a Queensryche tribute band. And this guy, he sounded really good. I'm not saying he was Jeff Tate, but he sounded like Jeff Tate. So if you're into that, I appreciated it for what it was, but for me, the genius is in the people who created that, not the people who can copy it. It's the genius is the people who created it. That's what turns me on. Not somebody I can play that solo. Yeah, you can play that solo, but did you write it? Did you create it? That's
right. What I'm saying is because if you're doing covers, okay, so let me go deep here into the psychology of it. And because we're old. I mean, I'm old. I'm fucking old, man.
Me too.
Do you feel that it's a situation where you're like, look, if I was to do that, that would be like me getting my paper route back, like regressive.
Ooh.
No, okay, guys, kick my ass. I'm just asking.
I'm not gonna kick your ass. I think it's funny.
For me, it would be like throwing up the white flag. I gave up. I gave up. I just, and I've known a lot of guys who I'll say, wow, you're a phenomenal drummer, man. You ever consider doing they'd be like, dude, I did that. I was in the original band. It was a hassle. I just want to have fun. That's what they say. That's always the classic response I get. I just want to have a good time.
Greg's 1,000% right. I mean, it's unbelievably. It doesn't sound like it, but it's so much work to write your own stuff, build your own crowd, get onto other people's shows, open for them so you can get their audience into your stuff. As opposed to if I play some Poison stuff and some Def Leppard songs, everybody already loves us. We're good.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting thing you just said. So
Build
you're,
an audience.
right. Okay. So it's a false sense of security, and it's also a misread. So if you go out there and you play like, these tributes to these artists and do them well, but they're not, the adulation isn't, it's used on the surface because you're there. Like when I did when I played Daryl's house, it's like, oh, it's because I'm playing Eddie Van Halen. That's why they like me, right? But it's not that they like me. They don't care about me.
Yeah.
Because I did nothing.
Well said. I always said, kind of, what is the point of this? Like, I'm not into this. I'm playing music because I love music, and I write music, and I want to contribute to in my tiny little way into the world of music that I love. I don't want to take, I want to give. And so if I'm going to go up there, no matter how tiny the amount of success or how small the percentage of reception I ever might get, I still would rather do it because I know I'm pushing the music that's from me. And I don't want to celebrate anybody else's music that anybody else can do. They don't need me. You could get anybody else to play this song. This song's already done. This song's already a classic. What the hell am I? Like, I want to, like, but you need Brendan Clark if you're going to play some Alice Loves Alien stuff. You might not like it, but otherwise, it's not the guy. You know what I mean? Like, what's the point of it? Like, I'll go get a job, shoveling snow or cutting down trees. I don't need to play a guitar to get a few extra bucks, dude. You know what I mean? I don't need that shit. I don't disrespect music, and I get pretty grossed out by people that do. And I think sometimes that do. I don't know how to explain it any better than that.
No, I like that point you're making, because, and it's a point that I think has been, some people are afraid to say that, because okay, what you're saying reverberates with something that I had said some time back, and correct me if I'm off the mark here, but as creators on your instrument, if you don't create and push that creation in whatever capacity you choose to do that.
Right. Well, if I might say too, I'm not going out, because a lot of times you'll see these people, especially in the cover bands, they're like, they want to pretend like they're rock stars. They want to pretend that they have this. They want to pretend that they are these people, even for a few minutes. And I have no inclination to do that. I have no interest in doing that. I said at the end of eternity, I'm not sitting at the table with Motley Crue. I'm sitting at the end of the table with Nikolai Tesla. You know what I mean? I'm a fucking genius. I'm not worried about nonsense. You know what I mean? That's how pretentious and all that crap I could be. But
okay, well, so then
I'm not up here to pretend I'm a rock star. So I'm up here to promote the art that is from me. That's the only reason I'm going up there. I'm not trying to pretend I'm a rock star or anything like that, or get up. I'm going up here because I'm bad to the bone, and this music's from me.
You believe in yourself.
Otherwise, what am I doing?
Yeah, you believe in yourself.
Yeah, I don't care about any of the other music.
Yeah, you put your time in. You believe in yourself. You have value, and you want to put your music out there. You're not going to waste time trying to learn somebody else's stuff. The original guys
I never learned anything. You can ask anybody. I never learned anything. I'll listen to half the song and I'll be like, I got it. I'm good.
Yeah.
Fuck that bridge.
Oh yeah. All the
time. No one needs that bridge.
All the time. I was like, by the time after the first verse, we're just writing a new song. Just follow me.
So and you said something earlier that I liked about like pretension. So if I may say this, as pretentious as this will sound.
Oh yeah.
Well,
this is a guitar podcast.
would you say that by not doing what you're doing, both of you, that you're pissing on your gift?
Yeah.
So if you were to go out and do covers or tributes, not to disparage anyone from doing that, because maybe that's
a lot of people, and I know a lot of people can't write, and a lot of people don't have that innate thing. All I'm saying is, if that's in you, you got to do what you love. If you only want to play covers and that's in your soul, then do that. I'm not saying everybody should get out there and be a writer now. That's crazy.
Right.
You know what I mean? All I'm saying is Greg's a writer. I'm a writer. You're a writer. We write music. That's what we do. To put that aside for any other reason kind of has to make us wonder what we're doing. That's all I'm saying.
That's where the pissing on the gift comes from.
Yeah.
In other words,
I coined that phrase. That's why
you're saying that by us not being willing to do that, we're shortchanging ourselves in some way because we're not out there, playing like every single place or something. Is that what you mean?
No. What I'm saying, no, actually the opposite. What I'm saying is when you're the three of us, right? We're accomplished players. Like, I mean, we can pick up a guitar and we can fucking play it. I mean, and if there's some apocalyptic situation happened where it was like, play a song or you don't eat for the next month, we'd be fine, right? Okay, I got it, right? My point being is there was a conscious decision between both of you. And Greg, we talked about this before, which is like, I'm not going to, I did the cover thing when at this point in my life. And that was a way to kind of, hey, that's what a song is.
Yeah, I was learning.
And then you moved forward. And then you're like, when you crossed into that threshold of like, I'm writing my own music, and you never left that.
I was in a Randy Rhoads tribute band when Randy Rhoads was alive.
Yeah, I remember.
I was alive when I was doing it. I wasn't doing it 40 years later. 40 years later, I was doing it when the guy was relevant.
But
once
that's what I'm.
Gone,
that's what I'm.
The original.
That was my.
I was like, I'm done.
But that was my point. I'm saying that no, it's not a bad thing to turn down covers, tributes, etc., and say no. My eggs are in this motherfucking basket, and I'm going to care for these eggs because that's who I am. And it comes down to legacy. And I've had this argument it became an argument. That's why I want to talk about it. It became an argument with like band members where, because I compose here in my studio. I'm always writing. And then, okay, let's work on this stuff. And, then, you get the phone call. You get that fucking phone call. Dude, we can make some fucking cabbage if we just go down the road and play it. I'm like, no, we're working on this, but it's almost like it's an indoctrination where they're like, no, I'd rather just go make the money. And I'm like, what? You're telling me you want to go play for 4 hours and make maybe $120 a man? I was like, why don't we just hang out here, get this track done, and let's do something that, you guys are the opposite of that, which I love. I fucking love it. Is that you're like, no, go fuck yourselves. Like, go sing a Tom Petty song. Have a good time. We're writing here. We're actually creating. And I can understand that the industry is kind of messed up and it's weird because what's fucked up is that's what they say to you. Like, well, why do we want to write songs? No one's going to buy them. No one's going to come out to see our shows. And I'm like, well, who gives a shit? Because to me, that's our only key to immortality. Mm-hmm. It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, Brendan, the music that you've written is going to be here long after you're gone. Greg, all of the shit you've done is going to be here long after you're gone. That's our only legacy. Who's going to give a fuck if there's a fucking YouTube video 50 years from now of Brendan sitting there going, hey, check me out.
Over.
Right?
Yeah, I agree. Who gives a shit?
No, I'm not talking about the original stuff. I'm talking about, that's what my point is. Like,
well, I'll say this. In all modesty, I've had to open up for many tributes. I'm talking spandex and wigs and Aussies and all this. I have never played a show, knock on wood, where the crowd didn't leave with me.
Really?
2 or 3 songs later, it's diminished. Because everything I do, whether it be original, whether it be that, the live show is so important to bring as much energy into kill and not playing as fast as possible and all this crap that we all can do. It's give them everything. Sweat, drain yourself, give them it all. Sing like shit. Who cares? Scream your ass off, but give them it all. And the crowd is drenched in sweat after every show. And that's what I do. And that's when I know that's why I'm up here. That's what I'm doing. Then when they leave, they go, who the fuck was that guy? For whatever, you know, for better or for worse. But there's just so little energy left in the crowd. They're like, I can't sit and watch this guy in this wig now. And I take pride in that. And I'll tell the people while we're opening up for them, I'll be nice and I'll be polite and I have a tremendous amount of respect for any musician that gets on stage. But when Brendan Clark leaves, show's over.
So you're there you're there to win. Right?
I'm there to make sure that the crowd gets the best show possible. And if I'm not doing that and somebody else behind me is doing it, there's a problem. And then I just work on myself. But the crowd, no matter what, you should always have respect for the crowd and not play what you think they want to hear, because they're a lot smarter than a lot of people give them credit for.
You know,
100%. That even happens to me till this day. If I went to a show and I saw Livesay playing, and something caught my head, I turned my head around and be like, what's that song? I love that song. And so to any extent, even a song they never heard of before, whether it be original or a style of music they're not familiar with, you're going out there with a purpose.
Which goes back to what you said, Greg, is like, you'd rather go out and do you than and fail.
There's a lot of things at play with that whole scenario. You talk about the crowd being smart and stuff like that. I sit back and I listen to the like the follow-up to a lot of the shows, and I hear adjectives thrown around like cocktail napkins at a dinner party. I hear words like unbelievable, incredible, oh my God, they're unbelievable. And people are too free with those words where they're meaningless. They become meaningless because everybody's incredible, everybody's unbelievable, and I know damn good and well it's not true, and so do you guys. We all know that. It's not
I
true.
know. I know. As soon as this camera turns off and we're not recording, then we can talk about it.
Well, you know what I mean. Not but the audience, some of them are just like so easily entertained. Like, I wonder if they even know what they're watching.
Sure.
They'll hear a familiar song. Oh my God, they were unbelievable. They were incredible. And and I'm like, okay.
Well, one of my favorite examples is you guys know I know Krista, Sean Lane, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, rest in peace. Genius.
Yep.
And there's many of videos where he's playing to like 4 people and they're like, this is great. You're like, this guy's a fucking genius.
Yeah, it's a genius.
Nobody cares.
Yeah,
we care now, but nobody there knows. They go, oh yeah, he's great. Like, yeah, you have no idea how great this guy is. You have no idea what you're talking about.
But they're not jumping around for him. They're jumping around for the next act that gets on there and starts playing Kickstart Your Heart, because it's what they know. It's
right.
easy.
These guys are really good.
Yeah. Right.
I mean,
yeah, that guy. No, you hear? Yeah, that guy. He was good. Yeah, but oh my God, I was dancing to Kickstart Your Heart. That's where it's at, man, and it's sad, but that's just where it's at. That's why the European audiences and in Japan, they watch, they listen, and they really are attuned to the more, I don't want to say sophisticated music, but they are. That's why all these prog bands are so huge in Europe, and they're so huge in Japan and all those areas. But over here, I'll go see Symphony X at the Gramercy. It's a small little theater. They should be, you know what I mean? They're like incredible. I've never seen a band like that. That every single musician is phenomenal. And
they're ridiculous.
Yeah, from Russell Allen right down to the drummer. I mean, just Michael Romeo's an animal. And I'm looking around and it's like a little theater. When I feel like a band like that should be playing the Garden. And then you go to the Garden and you got, it's
all backing tracks.
Yeah, it's just everything is, the world is in reverse, but it boils down to what people can relate to. That's the whole issue, man. It's songwriting. Towards the end of the 80s, it was all about image. The songs sucked. The musicianship sucked. I mean, there are bands that are still holdovers from the 80s that are still touring. I'm not going to mention them, but they sucked. And they're still out there playing. And I'm like, these guys sucked then. They wrote shitty songs, and they're still out there playing because they look good. And that's what the 80s became. In the beginning, it started out as musicianship, and it gradually shifted to image. And listen, I was there. My hair was blown out. We were all wearing makeup. We had fancy clothes. You know, whose hair was bigger than the next. But I could play. And Jimmy was there too. Jimmy could play, and you could play. You know, there were some guys who were the real, you know, we could carry it because we were the real deal, you know, at least I felt we were, but other guys, it was just all smoke and mirrors, man. And they were getting huge. They were getting album sales and they were on tour. And I'm like, are you friggin' kidding me? This guy's got green shit in his hair. And he's prettier than my girlfriend. And he can't play a friggin' note. Yeah, and they were signing these major deals. They were touring all over the world, and people going crazy for him. I'm like, are they actually listening to what the shit that these guys are playing? You know, but that it's visual. Now I don't know. Now it seems anything goes. Doesn't matter what you look like anymore. Back then it was
Thank God for me.
It was no, but I mean, just saying, it doesn't matter whether you have short hair. Look, back then. No shit. If you go on stage with short hair, they'd laugh at you. They wouldn't even come see you. That's how important your image was back then. It was all part of it, you know. You had to look. No management company would look at you. No labels would look at you. You had to have on every ad, and you probably saw this, Chris, in Kerrang. You know, must have image. That was like That was like the last sentence on every description of what they were looking for. Must have pro equipment. Must have images. A must. That was always in capital letters, you know. Now you don't see it anymore. Yeah. So, you know,
that was usually the first line.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. You know, short-haired guys don't call. You know, don't bother. No time wasters. Images a must. You know, pro equipment only. You know, everybody had a deal, and but listen, it was a great decade, but a lot of those bands towards the end, it was pathetic, man. I was like, this is going to destroy this scene. It became a joke, and that's exactly what happened. It became like a laughing joke, and people were ready for a major change. So, but they were all about visual, like Chris was saying. You know, you dressed a certain way. It's almost like they didn't even hear what you were doing. They were just looking at you.
Well, that's how I felt. I was like, you clearly didn't hear anything I played over the past 6 months that I've been playing this venue.
No.
You know, I was like, well,
Jesus, I'm going out and cutting this off tomorrow. Yeah. Going to get a crew cut.
So jumping back a little bit, Brendan, what
his influences are? I want to know
that's where I was going.
You asked me?
Yeah.
Oh, my influences?
Listen to and stuff.
Oh, I listen to weird stuff now.
Yeah.
But when I was a kid, I loved Van Halen, and I loved Queen, and I loved all classic rock. That's where I came from.
Okay.
Classic rock. I didn't know any better.
Hey, Van Halen.
When did you start playing?
13 years old.
Oh, same age as me.
It's a good age.
Yeah.
So I was 13. That was like in 2001, 2002, 2001, 2002.
Jesus Christ.
I was 1973.
But what knocked me out is I spent about 5 years from, begging for a guitar because my cousin, and we're easily influenced by our parents, especially when we're 8, 9 years old, and a big, huge family popular band, even though there's no musicians in my family other than me.
I was going to ask you that. Yeah. If anybody else played. Okay.
Nope. A big old giant Irish Catholic family, no musicians except me. Doctors and nurses, and then me right in the middle. What a waste. What a waste.
Oh, you're a middle guy?
No, I mean generational. I'm not in the middle. No, I'm the oldest. I'm the oldest. I'm the oldest of 5.
Oh,
I have
wow.
4. Yeah, I have 4 brothers. I wished all I wanted was them to learn instruments, so I wouldn't have to hire everybody.
Yeah, right. You'd have a band.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so I was 8 years old, and he goes, "You want to hear the best guitar player in the world?" I go, "Sure. What the hell do I know?" And he puts on Eruption. So that was the first thing I ever heard as far as guitar playing, and it was in 1998 or whatever it was.
Oh, wow.
But to me, it was
What
brand new.
the
You know?
fuck?
Yeah, to me that was
Right.
brand new. I never heard that before,
Yeah.
and blew my mind. And then I begged for a guitar, Running with the Devil and Eruption. Those first 2 songs off the first Van Halen album, it blew my mind. I didn't even know what it was.
Yeah.
And I don't know what he was doing playing. I didn't even know what a Van Halen was.
Well, I do. That's exactly what I mean. I had no idea how he was playing it.
Yeah, I'm glad we're talking about Van Halen because
Yeah.
I first heard it.
Podcast on that.
I first heard it in a music class in 8th grade, and we were allowed to bring in vinyl on every Friday, and the kid brought it in, and he dropped the needle and Running with the Devil, and it was the harmonies, it was the vocal harmonies, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? Eruption actually did not have any impact on me whatsoever because I wanted to get back to that, That's wild, man. 1998, dude. By the time you started playing, I had already opened my first music school. Fuck.
Well, that's why I always say I'm the last. In fact, I think you guys talked about it on one of your podcasts. I saw one of the things you mentioned was the new generation has their YouTubes and they don't have to have the soul. They don't have to kind of really build themselves up from nothing. They can really just, that's how it's done. And I like to consider myself the last of the dinosaurs that had to do that.
Last of that breed. And to clarify that, because you're right, it's the style. The style of development came from we couldn't see what they were doing,
right?
So we had to what were they doing? Oh no, well, this is what it sounds like. I think, and then you see what they're doing. You're like, oh fuck.
It was. Brendan, it was a weird time. It's like if you, in the local scene, if you heard about this, people would say, "Oh man, I saw this band. This guitar player was unbelievable." Like, "Oh yeah, what's the name of the band? The name of the band is so and so." When are they? Oh, they're gonna be playing at such and such. So you would have to go see the band to see this guy, right? Yeah. And that's how it was back then. It was all word of mouth.
Sure.
Now. Yeah, it's just like a totally different world. Oh, this is guitar player. Well, who is he? Well, here he is on YouTube, and you just up. We actually had to go see these people, and sometimes I think it was a better world. It was better for the clubs, it was better for the bands, and now it's kind of different. I'm jealous in a way that the guys today can learn guitar. It's so the wealth of information is so much more accessible than it was. Back then, it was literally destroying your vinyl collection.
I still can't do that. I still can't. If they pull up a like a lesson, like on YouTube or something, I'm like, I'm not watching this shit. I can't sit through this. Like I'll skip through and I can't do it. Just play the song. It's an A. Half step down. Got it. All right, I'll figure it out. That's it. But I'll tell you one thing.
There's something to be said for being in a room with a teacher. I still think that's definitely has a lot of validity to it.
Well, I'll tell you, I don't know if Greg knows, but I had the very fortunate experience of when I was 14 years old.
Jimmy Bell was
I had Jimmy Bell was my teacher there.
Yeah, he told me. I was getting let's get down and dirty. Now that we've come out with it, what was it like being in the room with that maniac when he was teaching you?
Well, it was like watching paint dry.
Really?
No, joking. He was a genius. I didn't know any better, so you have to understand how unbelievably lucky I am. You know what I mean? I don't know any better. I don't know that Jimmy Bell's this incredible guitar player. What do I know? I'm 14 years old and I want to play guitar. I was like, oh, he can do that? Okay, I'll figure that out.
Yeah.
And I did.
How long did you study with him for?
10 lessons or so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not long. It was over the span of a couple years, because
Okay.
he would go on tour a lot.
Yeah.
So I would get like 5 lessons this year, then 6 months would be off, then I would get 5 less. So maybe 20 over the
Yeah.
span of 2 years. Invaluable,
Oh yeah.
unbelievable, and
Yeah.
what pales in comparison to his playing, which is brilliant, is how unbelievably encouraging and excited he is about music and you learning music. And he's
Yeah.
he's an incredible person, and I love that guy.
Oh yeah.
Everything about him, it's probably one of my number one influences till this day. Everything
Really?
about him, from the way he holds a guitar, from the way he picks, from his rig, from his guitar rig, everything. I go WWJBD. What would Jimmy Bell do? Till this day.
Yeah, that's cool. That
Very cool. Yeah.
So that's the guy, right? Like
Yeah.
I wonder, Greg, do you have that guy? Do you have the guy that you do that? Like, what would he do?
My teachers. I studied guitar. I had 3 teachers in my life. The first teacher I had was a classical guitar teacher, and 4.5 years of him, and that was brutal. That was yeah. Those didn't want me touching electric. He was a Segovia devotee. All I did
Okay.
was play. I imagine, Brendan, you can't. I started on a nylon classical acoustic guitar, and I was being taught out of the Berkeley book and Mel Bay. Okay, that's how
Oh no, not the Mel Bay book. Oh
Mel
my
Bay
goodness.
books. Yep, Mel Bay and the Berkeley book, because this guy had gone to Berkeley. Great guitar player. 4.5 years with him. I went to another guy, started learning Clapton, Hendrix. In 1985, I found this guy at Osling Music. His name is Lou Ubriaco, and he was in a band called Gates Pass. And Mark Hitt, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Rat Race Choir, but they were a huge band around
Yep.
our area. And the guitar player who just passed away, Mark Hitt, he played with John Entwistle in the Who, and he's done a lot of big stuff. He played, he just passed away sadly, but at any rate, Mark Hitt and this guy were kind of like rivals on the club scene at that time. Lou was in a band, Gates Pass, and he was a teacher. I found his name. He started teaching me all the alternate picking, the arpeggios, and this is 1985. This is when like Malmsteen just came on the scene, and nobody really was teaching that style. They really weren't, not that I know of. So he was the guy, and I stayed with him from 85 until early 91. And I took a lesson from him every single Saturday.
Wow.
Every week from 1985 until early 91, unless he was on vacation. I was there every Saturday for a half hour. And he was the guy that I always think about. Now, he and I had a falling out because he didn't like the direction I was going. He absolutely worshipped Holdsworth. He has his own school now, and he had Alan Holdsworth come to the school and play there and do some seminars.
Wow.
But Lou loved this guy. He liked Malmsteen at first. Then I remember him telling me, he said, Greg, believe it or not, this style is going to get passé after a while. You need to, constantly move forward. But I was so immersed in trying to learn all of it that I was kind of not paying attention to where he was trying to direct me. And he got aggravated with me, and we had a falling out over it.
Oh man.
Yeah. So
I mean that always hits hard, man, with a mentor.
Yeah.
But continue. So what happened?
So yeah, and he showed me stuff like without question. You ask him, Lou, what is he doing here? And he said, okay. So these other guys, they wouldn't show you anything. They would be like, well, he would show me everything, and he could do it. I remember when that guy Stanley Jordan. What was the guy who taps on the guitar?
Yeah, Stanley Jordan.
It's Stanley Jordan.
Stanley Jordan. And I said, Lou, what do you think of that guy? Oh, and he goes, oh, you mean this? And Lou starts tapping out a jazz inversion of the Flintstones theme. Now, if you listen to the Flintstones, it's dun 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 dun. But there's a lot of jazz chords in there if you interpret it correctly. And Lou was tapping it out. He was doing chords with both hands. He could do the 8-finger tapping like Steve Lynch from Autograph. He and Holtstra. He could do all that stuff. And he said, Greg,
Wow.
honestly, the time you're going to
Yeah,
waste
listen.
trying to learn this, you could be doing 1,000 other things. So, but he got me. He gave me all the tools necessary to do whatever I can do now. I just took them and I did nothing but practice all the time. And when I think about if I'm doing something, I always think about what would Lou think, and he would probably hate it. He'd probably be pissed at me saying because he wanted me to go in that whole fusion deal, which is great, but it's hard, man. Who's listening? You know, the guy that used to modify my amps, Harry Colby, Alan Holsworth had brought his rig to him, and he's like, "This is Harry's. This is Alan's rig right over here." And I was like, "Oh my God!" I said, "That's amazing." I said, "You know, he's an amazing player. Do you know Alan Holsworth?" And he said, "Yeah, I've heard his records." He said, "If you can stay awake for them, just like yeah, yeah." But it's true. It's true. I mean, Alan Holsworth had to mortgage his house to buy his first syntax.
Well, they had to do a GoFundMe. They had to do a GoFundMe to bury him.
Bury him. His daughter. Can you imagine that?
Yep.
The guy was probably the greatest guitar player in the world.
Yeah.
And they had to raise money to bury their father. I mean,
that's so crazy that it's funny because my mentor was the opposite of that in the sense that when I went into the fusion thing, he got pissed off.
Oh,
and
really?
he sent a message to another guitar player, and he goes, "Mike just sent this message to you. What the fuck are you doing? Stop playing jazz and plug back into a Marshall, you asshole." And it was written down on a piece of paper. Yeah. And he passed away too. So yeah, it was like, but he was the guy. He was the one who unlocked everything for it. Like he unlocked the fretboard. He would explain like, "Oh, this is what Yngwie's doing. This is the scale he's using. This is why it works over this."
I still have my book from Lou. I have all his notations, Spanish gypsy mode, diatonic seventh arpeggio. I have all of that. It's right over there. And I still go through it. And this is from 86. And I have
so you have a regimen. You still do a regimen.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I have to. Yeah, I have to. Because I mean, if I can remember half the stuff I've forgotten, it's and I was like, "Lou, how do you have time to do all this?" Like he would tell me, he said you could play it this way, then you could do it this way, even a basic like a minor scale all the way up the neck, all the different little inversions you could do.
Yeah.
And he knew every single one of them for that, or Dorian, or Lydian, or Mixolydian, or Ionian. He knew everything. And he was very much into knowing theory. I have to be honest. The circle of fifths, I've looked at it. He was teaching it to me. I can't tell you what it is.
I can tell you what it is.
Yeah, I know. You probably
no. I don't mean that in a facetious way.
I know what it is, but can I sit down and actually say, "All right, well, this is the"? I'm like, now Joe Stump would probably smack me, but I'm like, I don't want to be.
Are you kidding me? No. He even said, he admitted, he goes, "Hey, I ain't going to play over like, don't play to ask me to play in B flat, or any kind of like, major seven kind of shit. I ain't going to do that."
Yeah. Yeah. But the thing is, Lou could. I could.
Well, that's my point.
Yeah.
But that's what Mike did to me, Mike Rubin. He said, "Oh, because I had a problem with the circle of fifths." I'm like, "The circle of fifths, what the fuck is this?" And he said to me, he goes, "Well, that's because you're being taught." He's like, "Look, the circle of fifths." He goes, "That's like getting into a car and somebody handing you a globe and going, 'Here are the directions to where we're going.'"
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, "A globe?" He's like, "No, we're going to fucking flatten this motherfucker out. We're going to make that fucking circle of fifths a map." And he flattened it out. And all of a sudden I saw the fourths and fifths, and it was all tied to the modes. He flattened the cycle into like a map.
Yeah.
And it was like instantaneous chords, scales, arpeggios, everything. I could see them all. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And then I went out for drinks with my theory teacher from high school years later. I'm like, "You're an asshole." I'm like, "This is the way it should be taught." But it's a great way for guitar players to see it. you know.
Yeah, Brendan, did you ever go through that? Did you ever do any of that? No, the theory
No.
stuff. Yeah,
No, Jimmy didn't give me any theory. The only thing Jimmy ever gave me on a guitar was just like exercises. That's it. Yeah, um like his different types of runs. You know what I mean? Pentatonic runs and stuff like that.
yeah.
That's it.
I remember, for example,
I don't know what else to say.
yeah,
Somewhat.
I couldn't sweep. Lou was showing me, he's showing me arpeggios, and he was saying, "This is all right. Here's how you sweep. Here's the technique." So when I remember, I was recording an EP for a band, and I did everything but arpeggios because I couldn't play them. I was like, I know I could put some in here, I just can't play them. And I called him up one day on a Saturday. I was like, Lou, I said, I cannot effing do this. I said, I've been trying and trying and trying. I cannot. I felt like the pick was sinking in between the strings. It was biting too much. And he's like, Greg, I'm telling you, do it for 10 minutes every day. He said, and I'm telling you, something's just going to click. And all of a sudden, you'll be able to do it. He said, it will happen. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. One Saturday, I was doing it and I did it. And I was like, holy shit. And then I was able to do it. But it was just, he was great for that. You know, he was a lot of positive reinforcement, but things that I couldn't do, I couldn't sweep for shit. And I know Jimmy says he still can't, you know, he says, I can't do that. But
Yes, you can.
Yeah, I've seen him do it. I was like, you're full of it. You can do it. I said, you can do it. I've seen you do it. What are you talking about? He's like, I can't sweep for shit. And I was like, yeah. I said, that's a mental thing with you. Yeah. So
That's great.
But he's the guy I think about. Yeah, it's my old teacher. He's the standard. That guy was phenomenal. He really was. It's too bad that he just, you know, he decided to do, and he didn't do it just with me. He did it with a few other students. You know, he resented the fact that I wanted to do something with guitar playing. He got very, he's like, you know, you and this other guy were the only guys who were concerned about, you know, how good you were going to get. And I was like, dude, I was serious. I really wanted to do something with my playing. I wasn't doing it for recreation. I wanted to do something with this. You know,
Right.
And I said, does an Olympic athlete go to the gym and say, I'd like to suck today, so show me the exercises that I can do to absolutely suck at the winter games, you know, so I don't, you know. I said that makes no sense. I said, you should be happy that you have students that want, you know, to get better. So I was so focused. I'm sure you guys are like that. You just had this absolute, right? This absolute focus on just being as good as you possibly could be.
I'm obsessed with practice, being a practitioner. I mean,
Yeah.
it's almost to the point of like a disease. Like I'll sit there and I'll work on the most esoteric shit that
Right.
I'm like, where is it going to be applied? I have no fucking clue.
Yeah.
But with a lot of the students that I teach, it's applicable. You know, we apply it to what we're working on. You know, because I'm a theory junkie. I love mathematics. I love how it connects, and I
It is
love
math.
you know,
Guitar playing is math. It is math.
yeah, it is
Yeah.
math.
Absolutely math.
And I you know, I've said it before, like a lot of my technical approach is based on mathematics, like the economy of motion and all that is all based on mathematical equations.
Right.
And it gets weird because there are times that it actually inhibits my creativity. You know, so you're on a creative path, and then this kind of mechanical, mathematical idea comes into it where you're like, uh-oh, you know, and I dance. That's my issue. My anxiety is I have to dance between those worlds, you know, and I do it daily. I have to deal with it daily, which is, again, why I drink. So
From watching Brendan, he seems to be more spontaneous.
well, yeah, I get, you know,
I admire him for that. Yeah, he's like
That's very kindly put. Thank you.
no.
Well,
From watching your show up in Massachusetts, I was watching you were going to solo, and I could see that you were definitely zoning into the song. And I'm like, I'm getting the feeling that he's absolutely just playing what he feels at the moment, which is
Oh yeah, Yeah, 100%.
Well, you're a visceral player.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah.
I mean, you have a shit ton of chops and you know where you're going, but you're playing from the ball sack.
You're giving me far too much credit.
Well, do you do solos like? Here's a question for you: when you have your songs for Alice Loves Alien, do you have
Yeah.
set solos for every song, or
No.
you don't? Okay.
No, I just tell the guys, like, hey, just hang on. I might go for an hour. I might go for 5 minutes. Whatever I do, just follow me.
Okay. Okay.
Like,
You see that?
that show with those two guys that we did, like the one with the album release show.
Mhm.
We only had a like one rehearsal with those two guys, and I
Wow.
never played with them before in my life.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
I was like,
pretty
just follow me. Just do.
Just follow. Yeah.
Yeah, just follow.
Yeah. I love that. I love that.
It drives some people berserk, but and the bass player I'm playing with now, she says she's learning. In fact, her dad said something real nice. I'm
Oh,
not even
yes.
I'm not gonna quote it because I'm being recorded.
That's Shannon Will.
Yep, Shannon.
Yeah, she's a
It was
cute- yeah,
something.
she's a cute
It was
girl.
something along the line of, and it could have been a little facetious, but it was funny. Her dad says, "There's no music school we could ever send Shannon to where she'd get half the education she's getting playing with Brendan on stage.
Yeah.
Because I'll throw songs at her that she's never heard before. But we're gonna play this song now. Here's the changes, like right before we're about to play them,
Right.
and I'll just kind of point to her to take a bass solo, and she'll go, "What are you talking about?" And yeah,
She
we
was-
Like, oh, you're doing this.
it's
she
just the
was
way
standing
it's the way I
Sorry.
do things.
That's
she was
great.
standing right in front of me at Jimmy's party last Saturday. I've never really formally met her, and I wanted to say hello, but I mean, literally right in front of me. I was like, well, all right, But yeah, she seems like a very, very nice girl. Good bass player too.
Yeah. She we played a show at
You guys keep going. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Keep going.
we played a show in Summers that Jimmy went to, and she got very nervous when he showed up into the crowd. You know what I mean?
Oh, really?
Oh shit!
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
go, oh, this old guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the kind of guy Jimmy. He didn't tell me he was showing up. He just walks in, and there's a silhouette, and it could only be one guy cool enough to be. And I go, you sneaky Jimmy, and he just laughed.
Yeah.
Yep.
He and I actually met each other back in '88, and we didn't realize it until when we met each other again in 2014. He and I were on the same, happened to be on the same small label. He was with Max Explosion on same thing, and I was too. So I had heard about him, so I said, oh, I'm going to go check him out and meet him. So I went up to him, introduced myself, and kind of like hit it off right away. It was pretty funny how it happened, but he had posted a picture of himself on Facebook, and he said, this is when I was in the Spotlight column in Guitar Player magazine. That was a big thing in the 80s. That's how Paul Gilbert and Yngwie and Richie Kotzen and they all got discovered that way in Barney's column. So he was in it, and I saw the picture, and I'm like, oh my God. I said, this is the guy that I met back in 1988 at a club in Westchester. He was at a club called Streets, and I had just done a set, and I got off and I went to go get a drink at the bar, and he approached me and introduced himself and said, and then he asked me, he said, have you ever considered submitting yourself to the Spotlight column? And I said, no. I said, I'm not good enough for that. And he's like, oh no, you absolutely are. You should do it. I was just in the magazine. So, you hear that and you're like, yeah, sure. But I was like, really? And he's like, yeah, I was in this edition. I had a yearly subscription to the magazine. So naturally, as soon as I go home, I went right through the magazines. I was like, let me see if I can find this guy. And sure enough, he was there. And I'm like, holy shit. He was really in the magazine. But then I never saw him again until 2014, all those years later. And then we realized that I called him up and I was like, hey, Banana. I said, do you realize that we met each other in '88 in that club in New Rochelle? I said, you remember coming up to me? I said, and telling me you were in the magazine? I said, we already met once. And he's like, yeah, I kind of vaguely remember that. So, anyway, yeah, but he's a great guy. for sure.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I guess I don't know what it is about. I, it's a shame, man. Back in the day, people just went. They just went places. It didn't matter who was playing. They were just there. It's so different now. It's a shame, but
Yeah. And one of the scary things is that I say to people, especially bar owners that try to befriend us all, I go, hey, take a look around. And nothing against anybody, but anybody see anybody that's under 40?
yeah, I
Where
know.
where are your people going to come from? Like, okay, these people in their 50s and 60s might be rocking this place for the next 10 or so years. They're not coming when they're 80. And where's your crowd then?
Yeah,
There's nobody 20 here. There's nobody 25, 30, 35, 40.
no,
Maybe some late, people in their late 40s or 50s. Where there's nobody going out.
no, they don't do it like we used to do it. It's not even close to what it used to be like. It's sad. No.
So what do you feel what would happen then? Like, that's an interesting point. Is there a future for that level of live performance?
I hope you're not asking me.
Well, I have to ask you because you're that generation.
Yeah.
You're that.
Me? Oh, forget it. Yeah, I'm the last of the dinosaurs, man. I don't see anything being very bright on the horizon. I'm not being nihilistic about it or anything. I'm just saying.
I don't know.
I'm just saying.
All of a sudden, I got very depressed.
I don't want to be delusionally positive about it at the same time. I'd prefer to be kind of like in A Christmas Carol, right? These are just images that might be, not have to be.
But what about? Okay, but to be fair, what about you guys familiar with the Georgia Thunderbolts?
Thunderbirds?
Young guys out of Georgia. They were all rock school graduates, and they're out there touring. They're doing. They're out there doing. They just got back from Europe. They did a whole European thing.
Are they original?
Yeah. Yep. Fully original. You know what's funny about the whole rock school thing? When Paul Green started that, and I knew Paul back in the day, before he even started that school, he said to everyone, even though he's teaching them everything from Zappa to Zeppelin, he said, if any of you guys end up in a fucking cover band, I'll kill you. Which was ironic because that's what he was teaching these kids to play.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of those, you got Courtney Cox, who's with the Iron Maidens. She was a student of mine. Katie Jacoby, who's with the Who. She actually tours with the Who. She was a student of mine. But very little of them, except for the Georgia Thunderbolts, went into a full original thing. And they just, they got a record deal. They signed right before COVID.
Oh.
So they signed before COVID. They do the record, but now they're out and they're touring. They just came back to the States. They just finished their last leg here in the States. So my question is, getting to the point, would you be willing to go that far, to go balls deep with like, fuck it, we're going to take this out on the road, we're going to go to Europe, we're going to, not for the financial reward, but for the this is going to sound,
you're right,
this is going to sound really fucking weird, for the sake of keeping it going, for the sake of keeping it alive.
Yeah, sure. That's your life's work. At the end of the day, when they tell your story, or if anybody even does tell your story, they're not going to say, "Oh, Chris Gordon, he was a fucking great guy." Hey, what was his last paycheck? You say, "Nah, man. Remember that fucking song? Remember this? Remember that?"
Really
you know what I mean?
Know. Yeah. No, I love that. I love that you phrase it that way, because it gets back to what I was saying earlier about legacy.
Yeah.
And I mean, and I don't mean to come at it from an egotistical standpoint, but I think at the end of the day, you guys write. You're composers. You have a vision. I mean, Greg, your last video was like there was a vision behind that. Like there had to be a storyboard, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
And I haven't sent you this yet, Brendan, but I sent Greg pre-mixes of a track I'm working on with a guy from Florida. It's metal, and we're talking about doing a video. And I'm not. I don't have any kind of delusions about it. I just love it. It's like it gets back to that core of like, man, I really like the song. It's not like, oh, it's a session I did. I did this session for somebody. Okay, I got paid and I'm going home. It's like, no, I actually really like the song. Like I want to see it do something. Where are you guys with how you focus on self-promotion? Are you guys in like do you concentrate a lot on social media, or do you just kind of like not? Just want to know what your personal approaches are.
I mean, I try to. I'm not very good at it. I do it like most people. I think a lot of musicians these days, they do it begrudgingly because it's a necessary evil to some extent. Because you have to, that's where people are going to go to look for you. They're going to see if there's any videos, going to see if there's any pictures. They're going to see blah, 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 blah. So I should get more into it. Maybe I'll just hire somebody to do it for me. I'm tired of that shit.
It's always better when you get somebody to. But then you have to. Okay, so Greg, like you've been doing this, like you said, since '91. So you're in control of your brand.
Mm-hmm.
And Brendan, you have a brand too. Like there's a brand to what you're doing. What
Yes.
I mean? So,
Brand.
At what point do you relinquish that much control, or do you have to be in control of your brand at all times?
Yeah,
I'm going to assume that Greg is. I get that impression.
I am. I relinquished it once, and it was really it was not good. I didn't enjoy it at all, because it was part of the deal, and I let them call all the shots. And I'm talking songs, outside writers, the pictures, the album artwork, right down to what we could say on the liner notes. Interviews I couldn't do. If I was going to do an interview, the questions had to be pre-approved. It was like ridiculous, and I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm out. So, as far as the social media goes, my band has a full website. I mean, we have every one of our albums is up there. You can download the songs, pay for them. There's links to where they are. They're on every digital download. We have videos. We have shots from the shows. We have updates. We have merchandise. We set it up ourselves. It's a lot of work. My previous drummer we gave him all the information. He set it up. It's like a skeleton. It's very easy to work with, but you should do it. If you have original music, make sure your stuff's registered with BMI. Your publishing is very important. You don't want to be watching TV and all of a sudden one of your songs is on a commercial and you don't know about it. You got to protect your stuff.
But no. To reiterate what Greg's saying, yep, I built my own website. You know what I mean, from the ground up. Everything I do is me. All my T-shirts, if you want one, is there. AliceLovesAlien.com. I have all my Brendan Clark guitar on all TikTok, Instagram, blah 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 blah. And Alice Loves Aliens on Instagram, and Brendan Clark Guitar on YouTube. We do all this stuff that we had to do. And like Greg said, the CDs are there if you want to go to the AliceLovesAlien.com as well. But he's 100% right. When you allow somebody else to kind of take you, like he said, it's his name, your brand, you're kind of at the mercy of what their decisions are, and then you're kind of like, what are we doing here? Am I under the impression that under your leadership, everything's going to change for us and $1 million is down the road? Or is it just because I don't feel like doing this, so I'll just let somebody else do this? which is not a good thing.
And I understand the theory behind what he was trying to do. I get it. I don't fault him for it. Where I had fault was that he literally changed the entire sound of the band, and it wasn't. And some people were like, "Greg, what is this? What are you doing?"
I know who it is, by the way. It was all formulaic.
Yeah, this is not you. I did it at the time. I was being urged to do it. I don't regret it. It was a nice experience, but I knew that I had to get out of it. After just doing one record, I was like, I'm out of here. This is not for me. It's not the right label for us. It's a totally label.
Luckily for me, no labels want me.
You can't go by that. You just have to can't go by that.
No, I never even crossed my mind. You know what I mean?
Sometimes, to be honest with you, you can get your own distribution deals. I know we did for years. You could do your own advertisements. You can get your stuff. If you want to do physicals, you can send them overseas. They'll buy in bulk from you. It kind of sucks when they buy from bulk from you, right? And they'll buy from you for like, maybe they'll give you $8 a CD, and you get 5, they get 3. Okay. And then you see them selling it overseas as an import for $25 or $27. That's where it hurts. But you can't do anything about that. You've already been paid for them. What they do with them after that, that's up to them. But
they're going to mark it up wherever they want, right?
Yeah. If it's an import and it's overseas, they're definitely going to mark it up. So, and I've seen that. Spotify pays you nothing. It's like 0.0000001 cent per download. That's a joke. It's bad. It's rough. It's rough.
So have you guys thought about, you have this music, you've got these records that you've worked on. Have you thought about personifying yourself as guitar players online, whether it's YouTube, social media, and like, Greg, maybe a breakdown of one of your solos. Brendan, maybe like, the way you approach, a lick, like, this is how I'm doing it, as a way to just kind of create a web around what you do, in terms of your
that is a
where, or do you think there's a danger? Do you think there's a danger to the band with becoming the guitarist that becomes too much of a focal point?
Oh, if I'm not the focal point of any band I'm in, I'm leaving.
Oh,
I should have directed that to Greg.
Look that. That's why I do my own thing, man, because I would get in trouble anyway.
No, I think it's beautiful, man. I love it. I mean, it's the same mentality I have. But I mean,
like, hey, Jimi Hendrix, can you turn down and stand in the back a little bit more? Like, nah, man, I want that motherfucker up front. That's the star.
I have dealt with that for years, and I've had some guys in the band who were very uptight about it. They were cool in the beginning, and then they started to get uptight about it. But I always make it about the band. I don't make it about me. I always say the vocalist is the most important guy. I said the band has my last name, but it's only because when I formed the band, every name that we picked, we hated. We actually put names into a hat. There were 5 of us. I'll never forget it. Everybody wrote out a name, and we threw it into a hat. And we picked out a name, and I think the name was The Opera. That's what we're going to call ourselves, The Opera. Yeah. This is 91, right? So
we should get into band names. This is funny.
Yeah, wait. So I go home, and like a day later, I get a phone call from one guy, and they're like, because we were like, yeah, The Opera. Okay, that's great. That's what. So about a day and a half later, I get a phone call from like the singer's like, Greg, I've been thinking about it. I don't know, man. I'm not sure if I'm really hung on that name, The Opera. It sounds kind of, I was like, well, then I get a call from the drummer. That I don't know, Greg. So 2 days later, they've all called me and said, I'm not too thrilled with that name. So the next time I went to the studio, they just said, look, Greg, why don't we just call it Live Say? You started the band. Let's just call it Live Say. And I was like, guys, do you know the kind of crap I'm going to get for that? How that looks? This is the God's honest truth. Strike me dead if I'm lying to you, but I said I really don't want it. Said, look, let's just call it that for now, and if we come up with something else, we'll change it. So I thought about. I said, all right, because we got to get moving. So I'll go along with it. I said, but the first time I get any crap about it, it's done. We're gonna be the delicatessen or something like that. We're gonna change it. I said, I'm not dealing with that, right?
Yeah, bro.
But I never really caught any flack over it. I never caught any flack over it. I mean, yeah, I got this, and I got guys like this all the time in the audience that like, impress me, you know, that type of crap. But
Because your name is the name of the band.
maybe, maybe I don't know,
Well, no, yeah, I know. I think that's a really good question because you got your name on the marquee, got the name, your logo, and you're the guitar player. So they're like, okay,
yeah. But
Van Halen my ass, motherfucker. Like, show me what you know what I mean? That level. Like, I mean, I think like, did you ever feel that pressure? Like once that name became the thing?
every time I play, yeah. Because now I've been around for so long. Every time I go out there, I feel like, all right, I have to live up to a certain reputation. And we've discussed this before. Some of the guys that I've had to play with, like a Steve Morse or a Warren DeMartini or a George Lynch or Greg Howe or
Greg Goldie.
Yeah, Craig Goldie I play with, and what's his name? The guy who's playing with the UFO, Vinnie Moore. I played with him.
Oh, Vinnie.
Yeah. So, I've had to go up there before some pretty big dude, Michael Schenker. These guys aren't fly-by-night players, man. These guys are the greatest players in the world, and you're getting up there and, and it's their crowd. So I have to be, I'm not saying I was, but you guys will know this. When you're going out there, you always feel like I got to be on my A game. I can't have a bad night. I cannot have a bad night. I can't miss a note. I have to absolutely be on because I know who's coming on next. I remember one time we were playing with Pat Travers. He was watching us. The dressing room was above, and I could see him in the window, and he was looking out there. And when I played with Steve Morse, he came out and watched us, and Vinnie Moore came out and watched us. I could see him his silhouette of him standing in the balcony because their dressing room was up there. So the pressure, yeah.
What's beautiful about that, though? Everything you just said, that what's so great about that, and that ties into what we were talking about earlier, is you can play covers all you want, but when you have the opportunity to be on the same bill with these heroes, right?
And you're doing your
and then these motherfuckers are watching you.
Yeah.
And talk about like that pursuit of excellence, that pursuit of upping your game, is that puts you into that world where you're the discipline, right? Because it comes down, like, we're guitar players, right? Discipline is everything to us. At the end of the day, it's everything, right? I mean, to be in that position, like, it's so much better than, hey, I played with 3 tribute bands last night. Yay me.
No.
I mean, like, what I mean is, like, I'm in a tribute band. Yay me. But yeah, you're opening for, you got Steve Morse hanging out on the side stage. I mean, yeah, ass puckering moment.
Yeah, I met him. I met him, and then he paid me a compliment when he got up there. It was him, Dave LaRue. It was when he was his 3-piece.
Yeah.
He came on stage. He played the first song, and then he mentioned me. And I was totally blown away by that. And there was people that were there that heard it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and that was my second gig with this band. It was the second show that I had, was opening for Steve Morse. So you can imagine that. And the week before, I went down to New York City and saw him at the Ritz. I stayed for 7 songs. He freaked me out so badly. I said, I gotta go.
I gotta go home.
I knew I was playing with him the following Saturday. I was like, I gotta get out of here. I said, the guy was unbelievable. I mean,
I need to go home. I need my mom.
Yeah, friggin' animal. I don't know if you remember, he was doing that trio with Dave LaRue.
Oh yeah, I know Dave. Dave came and did some seminars for me.
Yeah, yeah.
Simple Simon, Southern Steel.
I forget his drummer. I
That was oh shit. God
you
damn it.
mention the name, I'll know it.
Yeah, it's
They were
slipping my
incredible.
mind. Yeah,
Yeah,
ridiculous players.
it was after Dregs and before, way before Deep Purple. But he was doing his own thing, and he was playing that blue music, man. He had the synthesizer going. He was incredible, though, man. What a
So
band!
he
It
was touring behind. Yeah, he was touring behind Southern Steel,
was
which
91.
was 91. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, a great band with Dave LaRue, which was Dave LaRue's shot. Um, um, oh man, but I got into Steve Morse. You know how I got into Morse? I know we're going off into a tangent here, but I want to talk about Morse. I had a gig with a band, and I went and did a college gig, and they were like a 3-piece band that keyboard, bass, guitar. I'm sorry, keyboard, bass, and drums. They were like ELP type of band, like Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
yeah.
And they're like, oh well, it's the '80s. We need a guitar player. So I came in. I hadn't been listening to Steve Morse. I actually didn't know who he was. And some guy came up on the break and he goes, "Man, you sound like you listen to a lot of Steve Morse." I'm like,
Who?
"Oh, I guess I do," because I didn't want to sound like a douchebag. So the next day, I go out to Tower Records and I bought the Stand Up album. So it's around 85, 86. And I was just completely blown away. Like, oh my God. And Alan Holdsworth's on that record, Albert Lee's on that album. And then, but it just so happens that was the year that he released the album with Ghost Wind on it, Island Wedding.
Yep.
That was, and then he put that band together. I'm sorry, I'm trying to like kind of look up that guy's name, but I know who you mean. I know exactly who you're talking about.
I can look it up. I mean, I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna look it up right now. Pardon my.
But when I go down to Florida, my where I stay in Florida,
Yeah.
Steve Morse is my neighbor.
Oh, no kidding.
Yep. He's got like 3 Cessna. Like he's a pilot.
Yes, he's a pilot. He was flying the band in at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is before he joined.
I'd like to make friends with him so he can fly me down.
Yeah, he joined Kansas for a while. I forgot about that.
Oh man, dude, the shit he did with Kansas is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And did you know? Here's I know, Brandon, don't fall asleep, man. Check this out. Sorry. Did you know that Steve Morse learned the fiddle parts on that first tour with Kansas?
Nice.
So Steve Morse was on like Point of No Return.
Vin Romaine. Yeah. That was the drummer. Van Romaine. That was the
Van Romaine. Yeah.
That was the drummer.
Sounds like a Chinese dish.
Yeah. Yeah. Give me some Van Romaine with extra MSG, please. But they were great. Phenomenal band.
Yeah, Van Romaine. That was his name. Yeah. But Morse was playing the fiddle parts on the first Kansas tour. He learned how to play the fiddle to play those parts.
Yeah, I know Eric Johnson cites him as an influence.
He's on that album too. He's on the Stand Up album.
Yeah.
Look, if you can get past the production of the Stand Up album, which is, questionable, it is definitely worth a listen. It's one of my favorite albums.
Yeah. Well, he's a super nice guy.
But like nerding out over Steve Morse. I should have him on the show. If I have him on the show, you guys are coming on.
I would love to. I would ask him if he remembers that show. But
I'm sure he does.
He was a super, super nice guy. He was really. Pat Travers was really nice. Leslie West I played with too. He was great.
All right. I want to hear all these stories.
Randy Coven.
What was that?
West.
I want to hear every story about Leslie West right now.
Yeah.
My idol.
Yeah, he was.
Okay. So Leslie's your idol.
Go watch my videos. They're Leslie West licks really fast. That's all it is.
Yeah. Leslie was great, man.
So that's your dude.
That's one of them. Yeah, a bunch of them.
Yeah.
But no, he's somebody that I always thought was like one of the most fascinating. On, just being a big guy, so I can relate to him. That's all.
He's a great player, man. He could get a good sound out of anything.
Yes, he could. It was in his hands.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
I like the stories that there was this one story. I don't want to tell this. What do I know? But I did hear a story that one time he had Prince just died, so they were gonna open the set with Purple Rain, and Leslie's like, I'm not gonna learn anything. I'm just gonna solo over it. Like, okay, that's cool. So they had a keyboard player come up, and then the bass player goes to the keyboard player. He goes, "Man, we're gonna we might want to relearn this song." He goes, "No, Leslie said in C is fine." He goes, I know Leslie. He's gonna do whatever he wants. He's gonna change the key. He's just gonna come in with a drop D, and he's just gonna start playing in D. So we gotta figure this out." And
Wow.
sure enough, he started playing in D, and he kicked the keyboard player off the stage. He said, "Get off my stage, you idiot!"
Leslie West always reminded me of my Uncle Jack. That hard drinking,
With that voice.
Yeah, he had that voice, Hey.
Yeah. He said
One
to
of
me
the best singers ever.
when I went, he was in the back room after he played. It was him, Randy Coven was on bass, and I forget who the drummer was, just a 3-piece. And he was using 4 Randall RG80 amps and a Steinberger guitar with a Zoom box mounted on his mic stand. And he was getting the most unbelievable tone you could imagine. And RG80 Randalls were solid state amps. But I went back there and he's like, "Oh, yeah." He goes, "What was your name again? Livingston?"
Yeah, that's what I
His lips say, "Oh, we were trying to figure that one out." Yeah, that's how he used to talk. Yeah, he was in this long, mangy-looking fur coat, slobbering over the buffet that they had for them. He's very, very, very nice dude. But he
Livingston.
he was a nice guy. Yeah,
I'm not going to forget that, Greg. From now on, you'll be known as Livingston.
Yeah, Livingston. He's like, "What's your name, Livingston? We're trying to figure it out." I was like, "It's Livesay." That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is. I'm not going to say it.
Yeah. No,
Because I like the way Livingston comes out of my mouth better.
What year was that?
It was in the 90s. He hadn't lost his leg yet. I think, as a matter of fact, when we were playing the show, he announced that his mother had just passed away. He had his false chompers, though.
Yeah, oh yeah.
He hadn't lost his leg, but he had his false teeth.
He was losing his teeth in the 70s.
Yeah, he was singing, and I saw a lot of extra movement there by the mic.
Yeah,
pulling around, But he did Nantucket Sleigh Ride, all those classic songs. And he lived in Yorktown, and he used to stop in at Ossing Music a lot because he was friends with the owner. So I would see him in there every once in a while. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I always wanted to, who the hell am I? But I always wanted to meet him or see him, and I never got to. And then he passed away a couple years ago.
My friend took lessons from him.
I don't even know how you would take a lesson from him.
Yeah, Al Romano was friends with Leslie and took lessons from him when he was young. Yeah. So I could tell you stories with Al, but he's an interesting individual. He's one of my closest friends, but he actually gave me the Strat that I play.
Wow.
But yeah, he's got a heart of gold, but he's met and knows many, many famous people. He had me on the phone with Uli Roth one day at his house. Swear to God, because he had one of Uli's guitars. He had one of Uli's Strats. He had the black Strat, and Uli had an extra fret attached to it on the neck to give him 22 frets. And Albie had that guitar. He bought it. So he was talking because Uli was living with Monica Damon, Hendrix's old
right.
girl.
Yeah.
Until she killed herself. But yeah, he would talk to Uli all the time.
Wow.
So a lot of stories there. But anyway, that's my Leslie West story.
All right.
Livingston.
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm changing your number in my phone
What's your name?
to Livingston. I'm getting rid of Livesay. It's going to be Livingston now, because I don't know if I would ever meet anyone by that name.
Yeah, Leslie West gave me that.
It's Livingston.
Livingston. Yeah.
Dude, you should release a solo album called Livingston.
Yeah. Memory of Leslie West. Livingston.
I don't want to keep you guys all night, but I wanted to ask you another question real quick. Is do you guys teach at all? Like, do you have any do you have people that come to you and like, hey, I want to learn how to do that?
Greg?
Have I taught? Yes. I'm not teaching. I'm teaching my son. I teach my son. He's in the next room.
Yeah, and he's a man after my own heart because he's playing the extended ranges.
Yes, he did. He bought himself a 7-string guitar with that bridge. This is the wackiest thing. There's a bridge on this guitar that keeps you in tune. Even if you bend the string, it doesn't register it. It still plays the fretted note. It's the weirdest damn thing I've ever seen in my life. I'm bending the strings on this guitar, and it's not registering. It's still playing the same note. And it's some kind of a special bridge that's on these guitars now, where you have to do something with the keys on top and put them in a certain position, and it deactivates that.
Yep.
And I was like, Brandon, did you even know? My son's name is Brandon, so it's close. But I said, did you even know that you were getting? He said, no, Dad, I had no idea that this was even on there. He said, if I had known, I would have bought it. But he's in there. He's got, he's tuned to like the key of Z. He loves Slipknot and, Korn and all these obscure bands that he brings to me with all these great guitar players, and I hear him in there and the notes. I was like, Brandon, I play in 440. The lowest I'll go is 435. You're like in the key of, I don't know what.
You're in the key of death.
Yeah. Yeah. When you I told him, I said, when you practice, all the lights go out in the house.
Brandon, what are you tuned to?
Half step down.
You're a half step down? That's okay.
Oh, yeah.
I do that with the strats when what was that?
I said I have no reason why. That's just what I always did.
Well, I do that with the Yngwie tribute, but the latest stuff I've been doing has been in standard. What was that?
Yngwie is a half step down, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my strats are a half step down. My V's are in standard, and then these are in standard as well. So the
extended range. I can see why you put it.
Yeah, because I can get there if I need.
Crazy.
Yeah. So I enjoy them thoroughly.
Teaching? No, I do not.
No.
I have.
Now, is this something that you guys like you were like, fuck this noise, I ain't doing this?
No, I had some young kids that were coming, and they definitely they got a lot out of it. I had one guy come to me, I'll never forget it. I played a show. Guy comes up to me, goes, dude. He goes, do you give lessons? I was like, yeah, I do. He said, oh, I got to come and get lessons. Like, all right, this is where I live. And at that time, I was living in an apartment. So the guy comes over, and I'm starting him out with scales. So I'm showing him the scales, and he goes, like, after the third position, he's like, dude. He goes, I just want you to show me everything that you were doing the other night.
Right.
Just like that. And I said, okay. I said, but in order to do that, you have to learn this. And he didn't want any part of that. He said, no, I don't need to know that. I just want to know exactly what you were doing all night long. All that, you're doing this here. And I said, well, there's no way you're going to know how to do that.
Yeah. So, for rude awakening there.
Yeah. Was he already a player or no?
He was a player. Yeah, he was a player, and he wasn't bad. But
so he just wanted your licks, man. You know what he was doing? Yeah. He was salad barring you. I call it the salad bar.
Yeah.
So like I get it. Like, or like people who sign up and they'll sign on with you and they're like, oh, what's that one lick you did here? And you show them the lick and then you never hear from them again.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
that's what this guy was.
That's what I call salad bar learning.
It's just like, I just want you to show me those techniques. And I was like, all right, here's a technique for you. Get out.
I got your technique right here.
I was like, bye-bye. Here's the technique. It's called wave the white flag at you while you leave. It's like, get out of here.
Fucking
That's-
weird.
Yeah.
For me, I have no idea what I'm doing, so I really couldn't show anybody.
Oh my God. That was
So you're completely going just by, you know, I mean, you gotta know.
Yeah, let's do whatever I want.
I don't know, man. I mean, like you definitely have an ear because you know when I listen to that, the track that I listen to all the time,
Yeah.
you're definitely, you're hitting the tones, like you have.
Definitely, yeah. Magic's in the hands, brother. It's in the soul.
But I mean, but you're
map it all out.
so none of that is coming from any kind of knowledge whatsoever. That's just by ear.
I know what I'm doing, but I'm not going to sit there saying, let's do. I basically I couldn't create a curriculum. Basically, that's what I mean.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
Like
the
I
only
couldn't-
idiot that does that. I'm the only idiot that makes up his solos.
No. I've written solos and stuff. Sure.
Yeah.
In the studio.
In the studio?
Sure. In the studio, I'll go for the studio. I'll go, okay, for this song, this is how I want this to go. And other times, for other parts, I'll go, I don't really know, but I kind of have a feel for it. And then, you take a couple takes at it and then comp the parts you like,
Yeah.
There's different areas,
Yeah,
but sure,
grab
I think it's good to write solos out sometimes.
Yeah.
But live, I don't know. Something just happens.
So live, like you won't recreate it.
Sometimes, if I remember it. Like if we get to the part of the solo and I'm just doing whatever I want, I'm like, well, didn't get that one. But sometimes I'll go, I'll just play this one lick for lick. It just depends on the night.
Speaking on that, I did a session for Michael Spitzer where I, and Greg, I told you about this, where like I was in the studio, I hired a studio to do the solo. And I remember going, shit, I should have listened to Greg and worked something out. So I finally got a take. So Michael took my stem and he sent it to this company that transcribes. So he sent me the tab of my solo from this guy. Dude, it was talk about looking into a mirror. Like, I mean, it was, and he's like, I don't know if it's accurate. And I'm like, well, no, fingering isn't accurate, but note for note, it's fucking dead on. Who is this guy?
Yeah.
Like, this is ridiculous, And it was wild to see to take a guitar solo and to see your guitar solo accurately written out, in a notative way. It's like looking into a mirror, man. You're like,
Can I do that?
That's who I am. Like, that's me on paper. You know what I mean? I mean, we're so used to hearing ourselves on tape or, digital, whatever it is. We're used to the oral connection. But then to look at it and go, motherfucker. It's like a picture you never saw. It's like, it was wild. It was weird, man. And they were so fucking accurate, It was crazy. It definitely, I'll find the name of the company because it'd be great to do, especially for a Livesay album, like to have your stuff like
Tablature, yeah, I would like to.
And with Brendan, like he could be show by show. It's like,
I could be in the audience, literally. Oh, you would have.
Has that ever happened to you guys? It's happened to me once, where there were these two dudes at a show I was doing with my progressive fusion band, and there were these two dudes there with fucking manuscript paper, like fucking furiously writing shit out. And then I was at the bar later, and they came up and they're like, "Is this accurate?" And I'm looking at it, what the fuck is this? And they just like written out like scopes of what I was doing. They're like, "Oh, well, he thinks you're playing melodic minor. I say no. You were playing Lydian flat 7. I'm like, well, technically, it's part of the same family. And then they just started fighting amongst themselves, and I'm like, I'll take another whiskey.
Yeah, really.
But I mean,
at that point, I'm just, a lot of my playing comes from just getting laid a lot, man. I don't know, just you know what I mean? I don't know what the fuck to tell you. My music and my show is just all sex. That's all it is.
My music's about empty balls.
Yeah, that's what it is, man. I don't know, but you can't sit there and do math. I don't know, guys. Just go get laid. I don't know what to tell you. Just listen to a lot of blues. I don't know.
You
But yeah,
youngins.
I have a lot of people asking me after sets what I was doing, but never
No, after playing or after sex.
No. Yeah, what were you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, after sets that we've played, I have people.
Oh, sets.
Yeah.
I got you. Sorry.
I thought I was hearing something different too, but that's okay.
Okay, good. I'm not the well, you know.
Yeah. No, I said sex in there, but I was just talking. Now I transferred to sets.
It's like maybe there's a bet on the stage.
That was slick.
Yeah.
Slick move.
So basically, the set, I never had anybody come up with a piece of paper saying, "Is this right?" But I have people asked, "Are you playing this? Are you playing that?" And I go, I hope you recorded it because I don't know, and I don't care. Did it make your soul feel something? Then I did my job. Out the way, I'm headed to the buffet.
Out the way, I'm headed to the buffet. Dude, I got a song for that. Yep. Sorry, that's mine now. I'm taking that.
Oh, it's yours, man. It's yours. It works better with me, but you can get away with it. If I say out the way I'm going to the buffet, people believe me.
All right. Well, you know what, dude? I'm not gonna lie. You look like a fucking lumberjack.
All right, that's fair enough. I've been called worse.
No, I don't think that. I don't take that. I'm not meaning that as an insult. I'm just saying, yeah, dude, you're a big dude.
Yeah, large.
Big dude. Oh, you know what? I tried to set this up earlier, and I don't know if I can make this happen, but if I can, I will. Like, because, dude, I'm with you. Like, hold on. I don't know if I can make this happen. I can't figure this out enough, but I got pictures where you and I could have been doppelgangers with the beard and everything, like everything.
Well, Greg, you're tall.
Yeah, I'm 6'2".
Yeah.
So am I.
Yeah, and I'm 6'1".
Yeah.
Wow, man, we're just
so, and that's another thing. I don't know if you guys have noticed.
Trio of Vikings here.
Yeah, but I don't know if you guys have noticed. We're all like every musician's like so short. And everybody always expects us to be giants when they meet us. They're like, no, just in the pictures.
Yeah, it's a problem. It's like I see shots of us on stage and I'm like this and all these other little guys running around me. It's, you know, it's like my old bass player was not a tall guy. My old keyboard player was not a tall guy. You know, now my bass player now is tall. Yeah. So that was comforting. Somebody's at the same altitude as me.
Yeah, like at some point you kind of look kind of gangly up there.
Yeah, well, so, you know, even walking around like when I was at Jimmy Bell's thing last week, I was like, damn, man, there's a lot of short people in the world. It's like crap. Everybody was like, hey, you know, how you doing? I was like looking down. They're like, hi, how are you? You know,
that's part of our presence, though. That's part of it. You know, when we walk into a room, that's why we own the room. Whether we want to believe it or not, you know. And I don't shy away from that. I take advantage of it every chance I can, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely don't miss you when you walk in, but sometimes I'm like band shots, you know, you're like, Jesus.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
So damn tall. You know, I wish I was more proportionate to everybody else because then you start to look like a freak, you know, this giant guy, and here comes your singer, like, or your keyboard player. His head is just basically, you know, barely.
I was in a band where everybody was 5'6".
Yeah,
and everybody's like, "Holy shit, what is this, Brendan? What are you 6'5"? I'm like, no.
It's like, can we have another? We need 5 phone books.
Yeah, like if they did a totem pole, they'd be level with me, you know.
Yeah.
If 3 of them got on each other's shoulders and did a totem pole, they'd be.
So you always had to take center, right? You had to be center in the photo shoot, right? Because you can't be on the end of that shit.
Nah, I always went in the back. Always.
Yeah, always in the back.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Real quick. This is a big thing, man. band photo shoots are just riddled with ridicule and craziness.
Mhm.
Well deserved.
And so what's your approach to a band photo shoot? How do you do it? The way I do it is I get my guys at the pub and I get the bartender to take a picture of us at the bar. So how do you guys do it?
Well, I'm lucky enough to have some friends that are really good photographers, and luckily it's not a band photo op anymore. All the band stuff is just live stuff. So anytime it's a personal like or candid shot, it's just me and Gina. So
It's just you and Gina, right?
Yeah.
Greg, your turn.
My best band shots, everybody looks like they're, you know, everybody's got that, you know, we're all
don't want to be caught dead smiling.
They're like turn, you know, and everybody looks, you know, the mean look or something like that, or then, you know, it's a serious pose when everybody's got they're retarded. The band shot I like a collage.
They're fucking retarded.
Yeah, I like a band shot that's a collage of live shots of everybody. That's my personal favorite.
That's what I do.
They're all live shots.
So awkward. Yeah, like the whole band standing there just looking is so awkward.
Yeah, it's really because
you know what? There's no escape from a band shot. Like there's no escape from the brick wall to the posed look. No matter what, there's no escape.
No.
Like so, I agree with you. Like you got to.
Well, you know what's a good one? You know what's a good one? That Allman Brothers one from the Fillmore East, where they were trying to take the shot and they couldn't, and then they started laughing, and then they took the picture where everybody's just kind of like laughing. Stupid it was.
Yeah. No, you got if you capture a band in the moment, you know, whatever that moment is, which is why I always say, look, if we're doing band shots, we're going to the pub, and we're just going to be sitting around having a conversation, shooting the shit. And then I hand my phone to the bartender, and I'm like, whenever you feel like it, grab one.
Yeah,
you know.
But there's always one person who doesn't. I don't know. I don't like the way I look.
I hate the way I look in that. Blah blah blah.
I don't like you. Look, you know, you may. I look. You know, I don't look at me.
And then you have to break it to them, like, sorry, dude, that's how you look.
That's how you look, motherfucker.
Yeah. It's always something. That's why I say individual shots. This way everybody gets to pick their own picture. And then you just do like a collage. You do the logo in the middle. I like the band logo in the middle, and then 5 individual live concert shots. That's what I like.
Did you guys ever hear this technique? I learned this technique back in 2006, and I don't even know if it's true. So correct me if I'm wrong. But we were going out on tour, and the producer, the producer said, take a picture of yourself in the mirror, because whatever comes back from the mirror is how you see yourself. Because the problem with photographers is that whatever the photographer sees is what you get, right? It's a weird thing. So that's what we did. And I'm not saying that I'm right, but I wondered if you guys ever did that, where you just get in front of a big mirror. I'm not talking about like a selfie. I know it sounds like it's a selfie, but it's an actual, like a photographer takes a picture of you, but takes a picture of your reflection.
Yeah, that's wild.
So it's you looking into the mirror, but they're only grabbing your reflection because that's you looking at you. And what I got from that was pretty good results. I don't know why I'm giving photography advice here.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm absolutely enamored and in love with every picture I've seen of myself, so I'm good.
I believe it, man. Dude, if I had your hair, if I had your chin spinach, I'd be in love with myself too.
I could just hide.
Your chin spinach. Oh my God, that's great.
All right, guys.
All right.
I had a great time tonight.
Yeah,
man.
it was great.
It was a big time honor to talk to both of you, man.
Oh,
yeah, no, it was.
Had a lot of fun, Brendan. It was good to meet you, man.
I'm hoping to meet you in person very soon, and I'm hoping we can set up some shows together someday.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'd love the three of us to do some fucking
Yeah.
scary ass shows. That would be
Absolutely.
Yep.
great. Yeah, we'll make it happen.
We'll have all 6 people in the audience thrilled.
No, we'll do better than that. At least 10.
16.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. They'll be
We'll do
paid.
16. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what? We'll change their lives.
We'll make their lives worth living with our music.
Wow. Nah.
The inspiration for earplugs. They'll all be at CBS tomorrow.
You know what?
We'll change their lives.
We'll never,
You know
like,
what?
I'm never to another company.
Yeah.
Here's the. All right. Check it out. Thoughts with Brendan Clark.
Oh Jesus.
We're going to change your life. Just rest on the plane as you fly into the air and understand that music is a beautiful thing. And this plane may crash,
Probably will.
but it's okay because you'll be listening to the smooth sounds of my balls and then you break into a tune. You know what? I don't know why I'm not a promoter. But there you go, man. I'll edit that out. But that
Well, I like that part.
Thoughts with Brendan Clark.
I'm the only one that would listen to that.
Oh fuck no, I'd listen to it too. Gentlemen, thank you.
All right,
thank
boys.
You,
Yep.
Thank you so much for hanging with me tonight. I appreciate it. It was a lot of fun.
My
And,
best to Tony. Say hello to Tony.
Hey, yo, Tony. I will. Actually, I'll be on the horn with him in about 10 minutes.
All right.
All right, man.
You guys have
Guys,
a good night. All right.
have a great night. Be
care.
careful. Keep
Yep.
shredding. And if you guys book a gig and do not put me on the bill, I will be pissed.
Likewise.
So just remember.
All right.
All right.
All right.
Absolutely.
All right, guys.
All right, guys.
I'll see you on church.
All right.
Great.
Take care. Night.
Night.